Hello, I'm Hat, and welcome to All Hat No Cattle. Today we're looking at a video by a young woman named Whitney Thore. Whitney is a body positivity proponent. She has her own show on TLC, and she frequently appears on news shows and interview shows around the world. The video I'm responding to is her take on what happened during one of these interviews. With that said, let's get to it.
You are a very gorgeous looking young woman.
I'll take that.
When you take that?
Hey y'all, it's Whitney, and I want to talk about media bias toward body positivity. And what I mean is that if a woman talks about body positivity and she is considered by society to be attractive enough or small enough or conventional enough, then her message of body positivity is listened to and received with open arms from both men and women alike. However, if the woman who talks about body positivity is deemed to be too big by society, if she's not attractive enough or conventional enough for whatever reason, then the conversation around body positivity drastically changes.
Let's start off with my normal catty critique of someone's video process. Yes, she's framed herself so that you can only see the tops of her eyes and a little forehead on occasion. The rest of the video is very well made, so I'm not exactly sure what we're trying to go for here. Her lament about body positivity messages only being listened to if you're at least attractive hits the nail right on the head, and it's entirely understandable. Because who wants to listen to someone who's morbidly obese talk about how it's okay to be morbidly obese? That's patently ridiculous. We can all understand how someone with a huge body mass index, or BMI, would not be taken seriously if they talked about how great it was to be fat. Now, if you're slightly overweight or have a big frame and are not quote-unquote conventionally beautiful, ergo runway model beautiful, then sure, you're going to get listened to because you're healthy. People are more apt to believe someone who looks like they are taking care of themselves than if they've completely let themselves go. And yes, people can have eating disorders. I understand that completely. But as I've said in previous videos, just because you have an eating disorder doesn't mean you can't take care of your weight. It is harder, but it's possible.
This is my friend Megan. This is me, Whitney.
Quick quiz, hotshot. Which one of these women do you think will have an easier time getting their body positivity message across?
We both had the pleasure of being interviewed by this dude. We are both feminists with a history of eating disorders who promote body positivity, but for some reason, our segments were wildly different.
And now for the standard, I'm not jealous of her disclaimer.
Let me preface the rest of this video by saying that I love Megan. She's a friend of mine. We communicate regularly. But when I watched this interview, I was shocked at the way we were treated by the exact same man. So let's just take a look.
Did you notice how she just said the word man? Man. Dirty man. Filthy man. Unspeakably horrible man.
One of the simplest ways that we can accept different body types is we just need to see them more. You know, they need to be out there. Even just seeing someone who has a body more like yours.
You're shaking your stuff there.
Oh yeah, I'm jiggling away. Yeah. Even just seeing that, that'll open someone's eyes and say, you know what, my body's like that. Thank you.
Okay, a few things to cover here. First, notice the banner at the bottom of the page. Beating anorexia. This woman has anorexia, but she's gotten better. I have no idea how much it ravaged her before she was able to get on track, but she looks terrific. Yes, she's curvy, but she's proportional. She has large breasts, she has large hips, she has a bit of a waist, but it's not unattractive. She's holding forth on how you can be positive about a body like hers, how you don't have to obsess about being thin. And I think it's a great message. Now at the end there, Eamon did get a bit skeevy, but you've got an attractive woman shaking it in front of him. He'd have to be dead not to notice. Did he need to say something? I don't know, maybe not. But at least it was an honest reaction.
You're still dancing.
Yes.
Yes, and a lot of people maybe say, who are you kidding, really? You're dancing here, but really this is not the sort of advert that we should be having.
To start, that frame within a frame at the bottom inside the title, that's not me. She left that in there after the final edit. Now we're in Whitney's segment. And as you can see, it's framed in an entirely different manner. First, look at the title across the bottom, Big Fat and Fabulous? The name of her TLC TV show is My Big Fat Fabulous Life. And the question is obvious. Is your life fabulous when you're big and fat? Morbidly obese, in this case. And look at Whitney sitting there on the set. She probably weighs close to 400 pounds. In fact, I'm pretty sure she's a lot heavier now than she is in that still of her in her dancing outfit. And Eamon poses a very honest question. Are you kidding? Is this something people should look at and say, oh wow, I could aspire to be like that. That's empowering. No one should think that way. Also notice that Whitney does not include her answer in any of these segments. Is it just to concentrate on the host being a bad man?
My theory is that Eamon Holmes did not respond favorably to me dancing because it didn't do anything for him. It didn't open up his eyes, so to speak.
There you have it. He didn't get turned on by her dancing, therefore he was mean to her. You may feel good about yourself, but there's a reason that you shouldn't. You're not healthy, and you're not providing a healthy message to other people, women or men alike. Shame on you. And that's what he's saying. But no, he's a guy who can only think with his dick.
You are a very gorgeous looking young woman.
I'll take that.
Do you, when you take that?
But as Megan so eloquently puts it on her own Instagram account,
So Megan graciously accepts a compliment, but then on her Instagram page, she has this message. I'm not sure if I'm buying into Whitney's conflation of these two events. Maybe Megan can take a compliment while at the same time being able to tell the assholes, fuck off. Whitney doesn't want us to think that, however.
I also want to know why we are automatically sympathetic to people who have eating disorders that put them on the thin side of the spectrum, but we are not automatically sympathetic to people who have eating disorders that put them on the heavy side of the spectrum.
It's not a matter of sympathy, Whitney. It's a matter of respect. We respect someone who has an eating disorder and is able to get themselves to a healthy body weight. We do not respect someone who has an eating disorder and does not get their weight down because they're not getting healthy, they're not beating their eating disorder. Why should we have sympathy for someone who has a treatable disease yet does not seek treatment?
If someone like Megan has a mental illness like anorexia, we're sympathetic to her, and if she recovers, we applaud her.
Megan, good luck with all that you're trying to do, and it really is revolutionary for you. She's 22 years of age. She has turned her life around. Long may it continue.
Am I the only one who finds this incredibly salty?
But when I talk about how I recovered from the bulimia that plagued me for most of my teenage and early adult years, people just laugh and tell me that I recovered too well. Or when I talk about how I'm recovering from the mental illness of depression that affected me for a decade after I gained 200 pounds, and how I've turned my life around and I'm dancing and happy and doing the thing that I love the most, and that I'm emotionally and mentally healthy, and for the first time in 10 years, I actually care about my physical health. People like Eamon Holmes don't applaud that.
Yes, I'm tired of these transitions too, but these are pretty much the only times she shuts the fuck up. So, no one gives her props for beating bulimia and being happy now. Her TV show is in its 4th season. I think she's getting a bit of recognition. And I'm sorry about your depression. I was treated for depression for 10 years. But I didn't gain 200 pounds. It's great that you say you and Megan have a wonderful relationship, but it's pretty obvious you're as jealous as fuck.
You're doing your ankles no good, your knees no good, your hips no good, your heart probably very no good. So, I mean, I do think there is concern. People would look at you and say, are you sure? But at least you're doing something. Are you doing those moves to reduce your weight, or just to say, look, I may be big, but I'm still going to enjoy it?
Again, Whitney, the title of this segment is Obesity Debate. He does have a long lead-in to the question he asks, but still, it's pertinent. Are you healthy? Your heart has to be bad. That's a given. You broke an ankle last year. Was that because of your weight? We all know that being morbidly obese, hell, even just being fat, affects your joints. So then the question, are you doing this to lose weight, or are you doing this to show that you can dance? And we don't see your answer. Why not, Whitney?
I have seen plenty of dietitians and psychiatrists, and I have not been diagnosed with binge eating disorder or food addiction or some other kind of mental illness. But for the sake of this argument, let's just pretend that I had.
Okay, she says she doesn't have a mental illness. But why should we pretend she has those things in order for her to make her next argument? If that's a logical fallacy that someone's heard of, put it in the comments, because I would love to know. So, let's sit back and ride the crazy train.
Because sometimes, a lot of the times, I see tweets about myself like this. The hypocrisy in this is mind-blowing. We are so quick to be unsympathetic to a fat person, whether that person be fat because of a contributing medical condition, or because they're lazy, or because they have a mental illness.
Well, there she goes, the way she says, or if they have a mental illness, implying I have a mental illness. No, you don't. You just said we're pretending. Let's cut that out. And why should we be sympathetic to someone who's lazy? Are you fucking out of your mind? Mental illness, maybe sympathetic if they're getting help. Eating disorder, same thing. But if you're a person who, like someone said in a video the other day, sits on the couch all day eating donuts, why the fuck should we be sympathetic? This is what's wrong with the body positivity movement. It makes no distinction between someone who has an unhealthy lifestyle and someone who has health problems which cause their obesity. That's bullshit, and I'm going to be around for a while pointing this kind of crap out.
If I'm struggling with a food addiction, that's a mental illness, the same way that people who are struggling with drug addiction have a mental illness. So why do we readily offer up our love and support for someone who makes those kinds of decisions because of their mental illness, but not for someone who eats a cheeseburger because of theirs?
Wow. Basing an entire argument on one fucking tweet. I've got news for you. I know a lot of people who are not sympathetic to drug addicts. You know why? Because they chose to take that first hit of the drug. I can't think of anyone who didn't know heroin or cocaine or crack or meth, any fucking thing like that, didn't know it was bad for you. But they did it anyway. Now, you may not know that first cheeseburger is going to be bad for you, but the 10th one should be a warning sign. And these people can get help. They recognize there's an addiction. They can go to rehab. They can get a therapist. They can do all these things in order to get back on the right track. And if you've got an eating disorder or some other type of mental illness that causes you to overeat, get help. Do not listen to this fat fuck and decide that you can be healthy while maintaining morbid obesity. That is a false dream.
I mean, there might be people concerned you're going to keel over and die because maybe your body, your heart won't be able to sustain all the enthusiasm that you have.
That's true. I do have a lot of enthusiasm.
Wow, she actually showed herself giving an answer. But it wasn't an answer, it was just an agreement to a word. He said enthusiasm, she said, oh yeah, I do have a lot of enthusiasm. We know that. Answer the fucking question about how people wouldn't have the normal reaction that they're worried about you having a damn heart attack while you're dancing around like that. That's reasonable, but not to you. Let's see what she says about this absolutely spot-on question.
Even when people are being blatantly condescending.
Yep, there you go. A reasonable question about someone's weight affecting their ability to do strenuous exercise, and she calls it condescending. Blatantly condescending. Nope, perfectly rational human being.
I am still grateful to have the opportunity to talk about body positivity on television. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to have a television show that prominently features body positivity, not only through my daily life, but also through my No Body Shame campaign.
And we can see just how much of a victim she is, just how held down she is by a society that refuses to recognize her right to be fat and happy. A campaign, TV show, TV appearances. Yep, here's a woman being pushed down into the ground, her face shoved into the dirt, not being allowed to breathe the free air. Kiss my ass.
And I think that every time a fat person or an unconventional person can make themselves visible, we are making a difference. I think that media representation of real life is important. So I think that fat and unconventional women should be able to play romantic leads and not just comic relief. I think that there should be plus size supermodels. I think that's important. I think it's great. I think it's a great step, but I don't think it's the be all end all.
I know this went on for a while, but she hardly ever takes a breath. It's hard to get a word in edgewise. So first, fat people and unconventional people being noticed. That means nothing. That means absolutely nothing. Fuck that. Plus-size supermodels. Why? We're trying to celebrate art and fashion. We're trying to celebrate clothes that look good on people. People who look good in those clothes. There is no such thing as fashion for morbidly obese people. These clothes may hide certain things, but they're basically tents. If you want to wear tight clothes while you're morbidly obese, well, sure, you can do that. Don't expect people to have sympathy or respect for you. And what's this about playing romantic leads? Notice how you just said women? Men. Hello? Men? Oh, no, a man can't be fat and attractive. No. Just a woman.
And this is the thing that drives me crazy to this day. Body positivity does not only belong to women who are still conventionally attractive enough. Body positivity is for every woman and for every person.
Well, we'll agree on one thing during this video. Something is driving you crazy, and it's doing a hell of a job. As to your point about people who are only slightly obese being allowed to be body positive, yeah, fuck you. That's the norm. That's the way things should be. No one should reward you for looking the way you do. If you want to be that way, if you decide you're comfortable that way, fine. But don't expect society to feel that way. Not going to happen. Your TV show, your body positivity campaigns, your appearances on TV, you're a freak show, my dear. You're the dancing bear. That's all it is. And once again, it's the women, although naive included persons in your body positivity thing. No men, just women, transsexuals, gender fluid types, non-binary types. Your feminist slip is showing, my dear, all 10 yards of it.
I personally am not fighting for the right to be recognized as hot and sexy and a supermodel. I don't need to walk a Victoria's Secret runway. I don't need to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated. I don't need validation from men telling me that I am attractive. I personally am fighting for the right to be recognized for not being those things and still being a valid human being.
A valid human being. Well, as previously mentioned, you have the right to be happy with what you have, but you shouldn't expect anyone else to respect you for that. Don't ask society to buy into your fucking delusion. It's not our responsibility. Society wants you to be healthy, and I'm glad you can get along without men finding you attractive. Although that seems to take away from your validity part. But you're a woman, that whole thing about fish, bicycles, blah, 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 blah. Sure, live your fantasy, whatever.
I'm fighting for the right to be recognized as a woman who has a brain and who has ambitions and talents and who can contribute to this world in ways that have nothing to do with the way I look. So basically, I'm fighting to be recognized for the same reasons that men are.
All of this media attention she gets. Broadcast media, print media, social media, and she's fighting for the right to be recognized. I dare say she's probably one of the most recognizable morbidly obese women in the world. Not good enough, though. I mean, she doesn't want to be a runway model, even though she wants other morbidly obese women, plus-size women, that's code, to be runway models, swimsuit stars, etc., etc. But here's the kicker. It's not about her, it's about all women, because men already have that. All morbidly obese men are given total respect, total validation, all the rights that morbidly obese women don't have. Fuck you, you delusional bitch.
And the thing that really sucks is that even while I'm saying this, I know that I still have privilege. I may not be as conventionally accepted as Megan, but I am white, I am able-bodied, I have a symmetrical face, I have a huge but proportionate body.
Not only is she a body-positive feminist, she's an intersectional feminist. Ooh, God. The crazy just keeps on flowing, as I like to say. And Whitney, let's take a look at this snapshot I've got up here right now. The picture of you in your dancing outfit, not proportional. You sitting on the couch, definitely not proportional. Your stomach is bigger than your fucking head.
I have a medical condition that contributed to my weight gain. There are things about me that make me easier to swallow for a lot of people. And I hope that someday, one day soon, none of that will matter for any of us.
Not going to happen.
And to the people who still don't get it, women like Megan and women like me, whether you find us attractive or not, we are promoting the exact same message.
And it's that determination and that anger that just makes you want to say no more, like I have to get my life back. You need to start living again.
And I think the first part to pursuing health and happiness fully is to not be ashamed of ourselves, because I lost 10 years of my life to depression and sadness. And we cannot pursue a holistic picture of health, which is mind, body, and spirit, until we are happy and unashamed and know that we are worthy and deserving.
Here's the thing. Megan is talking about beating her eating disorder and feeling good about herself by achieving an attractive figure. No, she's not runway model slim, but she's attractive, so it's easier to get her message across. You, on the other hand, are morbidly obese. I know I keep saying that, but it's a fact, and the more you hear it, perhaps the more receptive you'll be to understanding it. You are not promoting mind, body, spirit. You're promoting mind, ego. Body means health. Body means getting it all together, physically. And you've gone the exact opposite. You've let it all out. You've let it go to shit. Shame on you. Well, wasn't that a lot of fun? If I had to give this project a side title, it would be Poor Little Rich Fat Girl. Now, Whitney is not adverse to losing weight. I read an interview with her where she said specifically that she knew she needed to lose weight in order to be healthy. How you can reconcile that article with what we've heard just now, I don't know. The only way I can figure it is she's talking out of both her asses. And I'd love to see the tweets that go back and forth between her and Megan. I'm sure they're all smiles and giggles, but when Whitney closes her laptop and gets ready for CPCP99, I bet there's a few visions of, how could I look like Megan? Why don't I look like Megan? I'll tell you why you don't look like Megan. You're not taking care of yourself. You know you need to lose weight. Looking at yourself in that video of you on the dais with Eamon? Yeah, you've lost weight. You know how to lose weight. But if you lose too much weight, you're going to lose your TV show. You're going to lose your bully pulpit for body positivity. It'll all go in the shitter. And you'll just be a former fat woman. Maybe you should try that. Well, that's enough comedy jokes for now. I look forward to seeing you all again. And as always, thank you for your attention.